be that, yes, I'll be. You've got a friend. You've got a friend.
Well, good morning, Oak Crest, and welcome to Zoomobile. My name is Josh Runkles, and I'm here today with Kathy Hogue from the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Beautiful day out there.
It is absolutely beautiful. Well, you've been coming here for what, 10, 12, maybe even 13 years now?
Yes, I've been coming so often I've lost track.
That's right. At least I've been here 8 years, and I know you've been here since I started for sure. But what we don't do is kind of refresh for those new people, the new residents moving in, who exactly you are, where you got started. So tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the Maryland Zoo.
Well, I came from Hawaii. My husband was with the federal government, and we had a 7-year stint in Hawaii. I had lived in Maryland prior to that and was born in California, so I've been around. But in Hawaii, I was fortunate enough to actually become a volunteer at Sea Life Park. Oh. It's an oceanarium. It has dolphins and other marine mammals. It has birds, and marine life of all sorts. And I loved it. I loved those 7 years. So naturally, you're going to come to Maryland. What's the biggest thing in Maryland? It's the aquarium.
Right.
So I figured I could take my experience and go to the aquarium. Well, unfortunately, at that point in time, the aquarium wasn't terribly well run, and they didn't have their volunteer program up and going very well. And they told me, well, we have so many volunteers who want to help us here, we could maybe give you 1 hour a month. So I wanted to do a little more than that, so I went over to the Baltimore Zoo, and it was literally, put your foot in the door because you're never going to get out
Right.
again.
And this is your new home.
This is your new home. And over the years, I was 3 years as what they call a general volunteer. You'll see them on zoo grounds. They might have artifacts, or they might be directing you in different directions, or telling you where the bathroom is. Right. The most asked question at the zoo, where is the bathroom?
Right.
So I did that for 3 years, and then I went into the animal program, what we call the animal handling program, and that's what I've been doing ever since. But I've got to say, do something when you retire, or even while you're still working, because I started when I was still working, but you have to find something you're passionate about and then do it. And it'll keep you alive, it keeps you going, keeps you interesting. It's a great startup at a coffee clutch, or a party or something. Right. Where you don't know anybody. Hi, I'm from the zoo, I handle animals.
Right. Now, we did just have the Brew at the Zoo, I think, was the
Right.
last big event there. Speaking of people asking to go to the bathroom, I'm sure. That was a popular question that day as well.
Extra bathrooms set up.
That's right. How did that go?
That was a beautiful fundraiser for us, and it was, we don't have the final figures yet, but it was very successful. One poor volunteer said to me, she said, my arm will never be the same. She had volunteered to pour beer, to do the beer. She did it for 4 hours straight.
Oh, my.
And she says, I went home and I couldn't do anything with this arm but this motion.
Now, my question about Brew at the Zoo, it's a great idea. I love the idea, but at some point, does the drinking continue and the zoo closes down, or do they let people drink? I'm just thinking tigers and beer. Is that the best combination?
Well together.
How does that work out?
Actually, they do close the zoo down.
Right.
And the animals are put away. And then if you're still drinking, we do close Brew at the Zoo at 7. Mm-hmm. So you can't drink far into the night. But
right.
yeah.
So no injuries?
No injuries. Nobody tried to crawl into a...
The only injury is to the poor staff members'
Yeah, the
arm.
poor staff members. Actually, she was a volunteer, poor volunteer's arm.
Right.
But, so it went very well. But now for the summer months, if you have grandchildren or friends or anybody who might enjoy it, we do have a breakfast at the zoo program. And that program is, you get buffet breakfast, you get crafts to work with the kids. The kids get a little stuffed animal, depending upon what the theme of the breakfast is. And then you get close up and personal, looking at the animals. For instance, we have breakfast with the giraffes, and you get to feed browse to the giraffe.
Now, are we eating what the giraffe is eating,
No.
or we get the human food?
You get the human
Okay,
stuff,
good.
yeah. So this is a neat thing for children, and it's usually, I see children as young as 2 or 3, but they don't get the full enjoyment out of it. But say a child from 4 to 12 or 13, and the adults love it too.
Yeah.
But it's an ideal thing, and I know this coming weekend we're going to have breakfast with the chimps, with the
Okay.
chimpanzees, in 2
And
weeks.
You said that's this weekend?
That's
is
this
the
week.
chimpanzees?
Yeah, 2
Okay.
weeks it will be breakfast in Africa.
Okay.
And then in July it's a breakfast with the penguins.
Ooh.
So there are these various breakfasts that you get full zoo admission, but then it's additional to attend the breakfast.
Well, you know, in preparation for this show, I did just go to the zoo. Actually, the week leading up to the brew at the zoo, I took my son. He had a great time. Believe it or not, his favorite animal is, what are the prairie dogs?
Prairie
the
dogs.
first thing you see when you walk into the zoo. We could not get him away from that. I think they had just had babies. So there's these little tiny prairie dogs that we could not draw him from the prairie dogs.
Yeah, the prairie dogs are a wonderful, wonderful exhibit. And yes, they did not just have babies. They had babies, and now they're just coming out because, of course, they're like 4 weeks nursing before they'll ever get a chance to stick their heads out.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So we knew they were having babies down there, and they're just starting to pop, and they'll continue to pop for the next several weeks because, you know, they didn't all have them on the same day. So it's a wonderful exhibit. But we have been asked as volunteers not to take the hawk or the raven near that exhibit.
Right? Because of the babies?
No, because the prairie dogs disappear.
Oh.
I mean, we come by with the raven, who isn't really a predator of prairie dogs, but he looks like a hawk
Right.
to them, and thunk, everybody's down in the hole.
Oh, boy.
So we were ruining the guest experience by standing nearby with the hawk on our hand, you know, talking about the hawk, which was fine, but, you know, there weren't any prairie dogs in sight.
Right. And what I think is so great about the zoo is that, you know, we had just gone. The next week there was an event that evening, and my wife took my son, and it was like a whole different experience. You know, you can't possibly catch everything. It's never going to be the same experience because some of the animals are going to be out, you know, some days they'll all be out. It's always something different, and he seems to, you know, no matter what time of the year he goes, he always seems to have a great time and gets a little bit of a different experience. It's really a neat thing.
Well, right. My husband at one time said, why do you bother with the zoo? It's a legitimate question. It's often asked. Why do we keep animals in a zoo? The problem is seeing an animal on the Discovery Channel is exciting and beautiful photography and things like that, but you don't feel a connection with that animal at all. It's something on tape, you know, it's not real. You have to come and see the animal, then you start to be concerned about the animal. And then if somebody tells you there's only 200 of these animals left in the world, you really become concerned. So to get that connection with the animal, understand the natural world, you need zoos very badly.
Well, the first animal that you have, I can kind of see into the ice box over there, and I'm not sure that I want that direct contact with this animal. I might actually prefer to be on the other side of the TV for this one.
Well,
But I'm going to be brave and, you know, sit here.
there are prejudices in every type of environment, and this guy, actually, some of you, hopefully I have people out there who've been watching me for a long time. I brought this animal a while ago, and he was just a cute little thing. He wasn't any bigger than a pencil around. This is Elvis, and Elvis is a king snake, beautiful king snake. This is a common king snake.
Thank you very much.
Well, Elvis the king. So he is really a beautiful king snake, and you'll see his little tongue going there. You can sit down there.
Yeah, I think the problem that I have with snakes is you can't really tell how they're feeling. The expression is always the same. They always kind of look angry to me. So I don't know, you know, is he in a good mood right now?
He's in a curious mood.
Okay.
He says, "What have you done? You've brought me out here, and you haven't told me what environment you're putting me in."
All right, I'm going in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very, very brave of you. Now, how does he feel?
Firm, soft, frightening.
Slimy? Slimy?
Not very slimy.
No, not slimy at all, really. He's
Yeah.
cold and
Yeah.
He's cold because he's cold-blooded. He takes his temperature from the environment around him, so he's going to warm up as the lights warm him. But he's basically just a very cold-blooded animal. So the amount of movement he does, too, is based on the temperature. If it were colder in here, he wouldn't move as much.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you remember, but I used to bring a Quitaro king snake.
I do remember.
It looked exactly like a coral snake.
Mm-hmm.
And king snakes come in all types, colors. That particular one is a Mexican king snake, and it's only found down in the Southwest. This guy is a common king snake. You could find him around here. So you might find him in your garden. Why is he called a king snake? This is one of the few snakes that kills other snakes and eats them.
Oh.
So this should be your friend if you don't like snakes.
Right.
But
But that's not his primary source of food.
That's not his primary source of food. It's too hard to do. I mean, they're going to go for easy food. You know, it's mice, grasshoppers, eggs. From birds, they can climb trees and get eggs.
We should do a live feeding on the show one time. I think that would be interesting to see him eat a mouse on the show.
It would be interesting.
I mean, over there, it'd be interesting from right here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as with all our animals, you cannot force them to eat. Some of them will eat gladly in front of you, like Marty, the prehensile-tailed porcupine. I mean, he'll gobble up anything you put in front of him. Mm-hmm. These guys, we can often put their mice in their cages and wait 2, 3, 4 days, and they won't have eaten it yet. And then suddenly it's gone.
Right.
So we know it didn't get up and walk away. So.
Right.
Yeah. But constrictor, because I'm not going to bring anything that's going to bite me and poison me. But the other interesting thing about this guy is that he can eat poisonous snakes. He is immune to the venom of snakes, poisonous snakes, in his area. And I put that caveat because somebody, I don't know how or why, did an experiment and found that, like, the southwestern king snake will eat rattlesnakes, but you put a cobra in there, he'll try to eat it, but he is not immune to the bite of a cobra. He never sees a cobra. The genetics to make him immune to the cobra's poison are not there.
Isn't that incredible?
So only those poisonous snakes that live in the area.
So he probably doesn't travel much?
No, I don't know that. He gets more mileage with me than he does normally in the wild, than he would in the wild. So again, squeezes his prey. That little teeny face there, isn't that cute?
Adorable.
Adorable little face.
Face only a mother could love.
I wish for the cameras I could slow him down so you could see his little face there. Can you get any of it? He's putting his tongue out.
Adorable face.
Because he simply is testing the air to try to see what is out
hold
there.
him right there. I think that's perfect.
Anyway.
Now let's turn him a little bit towards this camera. Oh,
I will.
He doesn't want to cooperate.
Hang on. Go that way.
There we go. See that adorable face?
He is really kind of cute.
Our cameramen love the snakes as well.
Well, anyway, this one lays eggs and then basically buries them and goes away. They're not good mothers. Just like any other reptile, they don't hang around. The alligator who actually comes back to the nests and gets the babies out of it is unusual in the reptile world. Snakes generally don't hang around, except the ones that give birth to live young, and then they just give birth, and the live young dissipate and try to stay alive long enough to become an adult snake.
See, it's all making sense now when the ladies say "you snake." Yeah. It really.
So anyway, he's really kind of a beauty. Very pretty colors, and this, of course, is the downfall of most snakes. The prettier they are, the more likely they are to end up a belt. Yeah. Or in the case of rattlesnakes, your boots or something else that somebody wants to make out of them. That's not a real problem with rattlesnakes, but when you get to some of the pythons in Africa, they're becoming very scarce because of the trade in leather, python leather, things like that.
I did want to ask you, I think it would be beneficial to know the snakes in this area that are actually harmful. Most of the time, the other day we found a snake outside. My son actually found a snake outside. He's poking something with a stick in the front yard saying, "Snake, slippery snakes." Oh, what an imagination, he's playing around. And we go over and he is playing with a snake. So I freak out, you know, scream like a girl. And my wife comes over and just throws it in the woods. But we happen to know that that particular snake was just a garden snake. So, you know, no problem, it's not going to harm us, just release it into the wild. How do we know if it's not a garden snake?
Well, I will first say don't take a chance if you see a snake that has a triangular head. See how round this guy's head is?
Right.
But if it's like an arrowhead, triangular head like that, it's probably going not to be a poisonous snake, but it could be.
Right.
Because some of the non-poisonous do have the more triangular heads. But that's a pretty good idea of something to stay away from.
Now, I'm not sure that I'm going to stick around long enough to look at the snake's head.
Okay.
Is there maybe a color on the back, something like that?
The color of dry leaves is a good giveaway.
Okay.
If it's been in the water, is around the water, and it opens its mouth and it's white, although you're probably not going to stick around to see the inside of the mouth, that could be a cottonmouth.
Ooh.
And we don't get many of them up here, but we do get, we're right at the edge of the cottonmouth range, so we're not going to get many. Your copperhead
Copperhead is a common
is the
one.
most common one that dogs run into. And then again, on the edge of the range coming down from Pennsylvania, the timber rattlesnake
Yeah.
is the other poisonous one. So really only three.
And you know that because the rattle is up in the air.
Yeah, and he'll make
you'll
a
hear
noise.
the noise
And he
before.
looks like dried leaves again.
Right.
All of these guys look pretty much like dried leaves. So if you see somebody like this, it's not a poisonous snake.
So our lesson today is don't go outside.
The lesson today is go outside, enjoy, and remember that a snake will run from you.
Right.
Or rather, slither from you.
No, and I'm just kidding. I mean, we were talking
Yeah.
before the show today that is a huge misconception that snakes are dangerous. They're really not. I mean, it's like sharks. The percentage of snake attacks, as opposed to car accidents, for example, people still get in cars. They're not
Or
afraid
even
of cars.
home invasions.
Right.
You know, which are very rare, but you'll
Right.
still more than snake attacks. The thing is that these guys tend to want to stay by themselves, solitary, get away from you. They cannot hear, but they can feel you walk.
Right.
So most of the time you've probably gone by dozens of snakes and you just didn't know it because
That
they're
makes me feel
trying
even
to
better.
hide, trying to go somewhere else. Well, he's getting real anxious,
All
so
right.
I shall place him back in.
And just so everybody knows, when he goes in that pillowcase, he can breathe.
He can breathe. No, actually, he's a Disney automaton, and we just
Right.
turn the switch and he turns off. But yes, just like you did when you played with your cousin or your brother or your sister, putting pillowcases over your head, you can breathe.
For at least the first hour.
Yeah, wouldn't leave him in there forever. Now, this little guy, hi, you feel like being picked up? Probably not.
Yeah, this guy's more my speed.
Okay, my
We
little one.
have here is a chinchilla, right?
This is a chinchilla, and chins are very common in pet stores all around and very, very scarce in the wild. For a while we thought they were totally extinct in the wild, but it turns out they're not really. They have spotted some of them, so it's a rare thing, but they're there. Now, chinchilla is loved because of his fur, and that's the reason he's a rare animal. He's highly endangered in the wild. 40 hairs to a single follicle. So he's
Wow.
absolutely beautiful fur, which you may touch if you wish.
And the beautiful fur
Hey,
here,
stop biting me.
very soft,
Very,
is
very
also
soft.
this poor guy's downfall.
Right, yeah. Now, Snow Queen here, she would not be taken for her fur simply because she is damage, so to speak. See the top of her head there is a black spot. So how are you going to incorporate that into a nice coat?
Discount?
Discount, yeah, discount coat. Why would I bother, though, to make the coat? Snow Queen is the youngest of our chinchillas. Her mother is Yum Yum, who I bring sometime. That's a gray chinchilla. And Snow Queen's a biter. She just bit me, and I'm bleeding. But that's all right. Snow Queen, you are something else. It's probably not what you should do. But she's a little anxious because we did have trouble getting her out this morning, so that's why she's around. Now, these guys, they're prey animals, and they know it. So they tend to have big ears, big eyes, big whiskers. They hide in the wild. They eat grasses. You can kill a chinchilla by giving it too much rich food.
This is clean.
Oh, thank you. So my finger doesn't bleed anymore there. Hey, Snow Queen, settle down. Settle. Okay.
Adorable.
But yeah, or adorable make pretty good pets. They're not a bad pet at all.
And what cost are we looking at? To own
$60 to $90.
Okay.
Yeah, the pelt of a chinchilla goes for about $100 if it's a good pelt, and all the chinchillas that go into furs today are chinchillas that are raised, on commercial farms. But still, I have to say, doesn't the pelt look so much better on the chinchilla?
I think so.
And also, if you've got any dander problems or anything, that's really one of the reasons these are made into coats and people love them, besides the softness. Chinchilla's hair is so thick that the dander doesn't come up. And so people who are allergic to other animals that might have dander will not have a problem with chinchillas. So if you're allergic to cat dander, you could probably have a chinchilla and be very happy with it. They're not too bright, as we say, NTB, but they are fun to play with. They are nocturnal, so you want them to be in the area beyond where you're sleeping. Otherwise, you're going to hear them all night long.
Do they have an odor? Does the cage start to develop an odor?
You got to clean them. Yeah. They left a little present for you
thank
down
you.
there. These guys were brought to the United States in the 1920s, and all the chinchillas in the United States are from that first group of 10 chinchillas.
That microphone.
But he's eating my microphone.
He is not cooperating today.
Not cooperating. That first group that was brought to the United States, 10 chinchillas left Peru. They're Peru, Chile, the Andes Mountains range is where they live. And these 10 chinchillas left Peru. They arrived in Los Angeles, and they were 11 chinchillas by then. And they were put up in the Tehachapi Pass area that goes between Death Valley and the Los Angeles Basin, because that's where it was cool enough. Los Angeles was obviously not where you wanted a chinchilla, because it wasn't very cool. Come on, settle. There you go. Sorry, he's acting up. She is acting up today. She had a little problem getting out of her cage this morning. But so they have 1 to 2 children. They can have 2 litters during the summer, and that's when they will have the litters. But they have a very long gestation period for a rodent. It's a 111-day gestation period. Oh, wow. So they would have the first litter at the very early part of the summer, and then the last litter at the very end.
And the litter is how many?
Litter would be 1 to 2.
1 to 2.
Now, if things are bad up in the Andes and it's getting tight and there's no food for that second baby, they will kill it in order to have one baby survive.
And do the fathers stick around?
No. It's entirely a mom-raising organization here. But they're pretty good moms. They hang around, but they wean the baby very, very quickly so they can get on to that next litter. They're preyed on by foxes, mountain lions. There is a type of a mountain lion in the Andes. It's not like ours. And, hey, hold on. Hold. There you go. The eagles are one of their big things. Hey, I'm going to put you back.
Yeah, we could put him down.
There you go. Yeah,
You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. That's
Yeah.
okay. Me too, little guy.
really up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. You're usually so good. You're so good, and Mom is not bleeding here anymore. But you're not going to get that Kleenex back.
No, that's all right. It's all yours.
So, anyway, chinchillas are kind of neat. Oh, by the way, the name comes from the Chinch tribe. It's an Indian tribe that lived in the Andes Mountains and so on, and so Chinchillas. You know, and it's come to be Chinchilla. We're down to it. So this is one of my favorite guys, and this is where
This is
better.
one of my favorite guys as well.
Yeah, we better have the stuff here because you know birds. Birds have no sphincter muscles. I have to keep telling people this. You will not train them to go in the litter box because they can't. They can't hold it. How you doing,
what we
Conker?
have here is a Super Bowl champion raven.
Yes, this is our.
And I'm kind of disappointed because I thought maybe they could fit a ring around one of its little legs there.
Well,
and
actually,
I'm not seeing it.
actually, he does have rings around his little.
Oh, he does.
But anyway,
Now, which raven is this we have?
this one is Conker, and I don't believe Conker has been here before. Conker is our dominant raven. You can see he's got white on his front, so he's very easy to identify. This, we call this our linebacker, whereas Rise, the other one, the all black one that I normally bring, he's our quarterback because he's a lot skinnier, and this guy is like a linebacker.
He actually looks similar to Ray Lewis.
Yeah, there you go. A Ray Lewis raven. What's the first question you ask about ravens? Let's see if you...
Why are they not a crow?
Exactly. What is the
What's the
difference between a raven and a crow? Well, we can start out with his size. This is a big bird. He's got a 4-foot wingspan.
Wow.
Yeah, 54-inch wingspan usually. A crow rarely exceeds 36-inch wingspan. Crow would be 2/3 of this guy's size. Okay. Number 2, tail, which you're not going to see. But if you look at a raven flying, he will have a wedge-shaped tail. Put your put your thumbs together, and your forefingers together. Stick them out. That's a wedge-shaped tail.
Okay.
You know, show the camera so they can see.
Wedge shape.
Yeah, that's a raven tail.
Okay.
A crow's is fan-shaped, just cut straight off like
Oh,
a
I see.
fan.
Okay.
So you can tell that when they're flying. Now, when he makes noise, you can make any noise for me? Probably not. You're not going to make any noise. When you make noise, the crow actually rocks back and forth when he goes caw, caw, caw. This guy goes more of a grunk, grunk, grunk noise, and he holds perfectly still when he does it.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Now, are we going to see a raven in our backyard ever, or it's
Sure.
much more common to see a crow, right?
Much more common to see a crow. If you see a group of things, you know, you're killing me here.
You were getting beat up today.
Yeah, there you go. Move up on my hand. There you go. He had the nerve with his back claw. The crows you're going to see in groups,
Okay.
exclusively in groups. You're not going to see an individual crow floating around.
Right.
Ravens, usually 1 or 2 at a time. However, I have to amend that when they're immature and they're youngsters. They will congregate in groups because what they're doing is looking for a mate. And the mate is, you know, I got to see what all these girls are
Sure.
like before I can make a choice. So there are groups when they're young. So that's a hard one. You
Right.
know, do I have a group of, do I have a murder of crows or do I have a group of ravens here? Crows are called murders. And then one thing that people start to get funny about, a raven can be a crow, but a crow can never be a raven. And the reason I say that is the group of animals they belong to are the corvids, and it's called the crow group. So magpies are in there, blue jays are in there, all related. Now, also, if you look at his beak, you see his beak there? There's feathers on it.
Yeah, I had never noticed that.
Yeah, and in the raven logo, if you look at the raven logo, you will see those feathers. They did a nice job
Yeah.
of putting the feathers on the raven logo. Crows do not have those feathers on the beak. So if you can get close enough to check the beak out, you can tell very easily.
I also had not noticed the pattern on the belly of the
well,
bird.
this is individual to conquer here.
Okay.
That's not necessarily an identifying factor,
Right.
except it helps us to identify that conquer is conquer. Right, conquer? Yeah. Okay, look at the beak. Look at the beak there. It's a heavy beak, and it basically, the top of the beak matches exactly the bottom of the beak. The crow's beak will be a little bit
overhang.
off, and it's also a finer beak. It's more of a pointed beak,
Okay.
as opposed to this guy. Crows don't play. Ravens have an incredibly horrible sense of humor.
Play like a raven.
Play like a raven, yeah, and they will play. And if they're deciding, like these guys were this morning, that they're going to give you a little trouble, they'll just have a wonderful time staying right out of your reach.
Right.
And they know what they're doing. We have to give him masses and masses of stuff to keep him occupied, because they get bored very easily because they're highly intelligent.
Well, it seems like when you see, is this one particular at the Ravens games?
Yes.
Okay, when you see them there, they seem fairly calm. So how are they maintaining that calmness?
We raise these guys from fledglings,
Okay.
24/7, 98 rock, loud, so that the noise doesn't bother them in the, and basically handled them so much. When he gets antsy, all I have to do is do some of this, and he'll settle down. Now, when the Ravens have a touchdown, touchdown!
Yes, I need
Yeah.
one.
You know, touchdown!
That's great.
Yeah, so we are often on national television with the touchdown move, because they just look so good after the
And
Ravens have
if
done.
you see him on TV, you'll notice that he is not all black. And from
Right.
a distance, it might look like there's some white towards the bottom of the raven, but that is actually a diaper, right?
Yes. Well, actually, you don't really see it because now we've got it covered. But he'll be
Okay.
wearing a little halter thing, and it has the Ravens logo on the back of it.
Yes.
And it has a sanitary pad in it, because the Ravens decided in their infinite wisdom, the team, that they didn't want any bird poop to
Right.
go on the field.
The spit and the blood and
Spit and
whatever
blood
else,
doesn't
that's
matter,
fine.
you know. I mean, how often do you see one of these guys say, "Excuse me a minute, Joe, I got to go to the bathroom, so
Right.
hang on."
Right.
You know, you don't know what's out there on that field, but I'll guarantee there is no raven poop on the field. I mean, we've got seagulls going over, we've got bats going over the field, but no raven poop. That's good.
So you're saying the players should wear diapers?
Yeah, probably should. Maybe they do. Who knows? The other thing is that the sheen on him in the light is purple. Everybody says, where did the ravens get purple? Well, you put them in the sunlight, and I can even see it a little bit here.
Yeah, I see it a little bit.
But you probably can't pick it up on the camera. The sheen is definitely a purple sheen.
Mm-hmm.
So the crow does not have that sheen. So if you're able to see a crow in the sunlight, you can tell immediately if he doesn't have that purple sheen, he's not a raven.
Okay.
So but these guys, ravens are birds that are migratory. Therefore, you cannot keep them without special permission, and the Ravens team could not have them. So these guys are African ravens. They're called a brown-necked raven and a cross with a pied crow. And that makes them what we call a little more tractable, a little more easy to handle. If you went out and got the great northern raven from Alaska, you couldn't handle it. There's no way he would train. If you got the common raven from western Maryland that comes out here occasionally, I don't think we could train him. They're just too smart. They're smarter than we are. You know, to train an animal, you got to be as bright as he is. And they're pretty bright.
Did you say what he eats?
Okay, anything. These are omnivores. That's one of the reasons they're so successful.
Anything?
Anything. Just about.
I was afraid of the snake. Now I'm afraid of the raven.
Yeah. No, they will. The best ravens, the most successful ravens in reproduction and everything are ones that live near garbage dumps. You know, because there's a lot there. They will eat roadkill. They will kill their own stuff. You know, so it's what's available. They're smart enough to take advantage of what's available. We feed him 70 grams of vegetables, 70 grams of fruit, 90 grams of Iam's dog chow, and about, I'd say 25 grams of special hamburger that's made up for zoo animals. Got a lot of, and he'll eat all that. And sometimes he won't eat any of it. You know, we weigh what he leaves every day, so we know what they eat and don't eat. You know, you got feathers sticking out all
Now,
over.
I know that the zoo takes certain animals, you know, for parties and that type of thing. Do the birds go out for that?
Yeah, the ravens go out for a lot of things. As long, we do not own this raven. The ravens team owns this raven. We take care of him, and we are paid to take care of him. We get a certain amount from the ravens to take care of him, keep him trained, keep him occupied, keep him happy. But we are also, if the ravens ask us to go somewhere with him, we are required to do it. That's part of our contract.
Okay.
I have opened M&T banks with this raven.
Oh, neat.
New M&T banks. He has appeared at special events, like when Jonathan Ogden was talking to the, you know, Ravens fans who pay big bucks and sit up there in those boxes and so on. They had a party for them, and Jonathan Ogden came, and I was there with the raven. The Raven training camps, there are 4 of them this year that are going to be open to the public, and we will be there.
Okay.
So we'll be at M&T Stadium, we'll be at the Navy Marine Corps Stadium, and we will be at the castle to also
Great.
for the 2 events open there.
You know,
So
if you ever need to bring a TV crew with you, we're always available.
well, one of the sad things is that if it's an off event like that, I go sometimes. You know,
Right.
other people go too. But if it is a game, a real game, not a preseason game,
Right.
the staff takes. They are not going to let us. I have been to games, but I did the Tennessee Titans in a preseason game. You know, but never to a real. You know, a preseason's a real game, but still, you know, because we have enough staff members and they all want to go so badly. So, well, they deserve it. They're there 24/7.
Well, we are running out of time today. Did you want to remind the viewers here of the breakfast, the dates for the breakfast again?
Well, I call the number on the screen. I think they'll put it on the screen there, the Lion number, and ask about the breakfast, or go online. It's marylandzoo.org. And they will have information about all the breakfasts. They'll have information about the advantages of becoming a member of the zoo. There are very inexpensive memberships. I bought one for my nephew. He's a single father, and it was a $60 a year membership, and he can take his son as often as he wants.
Yeah, that's
You know,
great.
so there are those. And there are regular family memberships. There's grandparent memberships for taking grandchildren and so on. And this is all up on the net. You can get it right there.
Okay, give us the website one more time.
Okay, the website, www.marylandzoo, all one word, .org.
marylandzoo.org. Well, Kathy, thanks again for bringing some great animals. I didn't get bit. Can't say the same for you. I apologize. But it has been a pleasure having you on the show. And thank you all for tuning in today. Once again, my name is Josh Runkles. This has been a brand new episode of Zoomobile with Kathy Hogue. If you missed any part of this show, you can tune in again at 2, 7, 9, or midnight. Thanks, and have a great day.